This is Ray Terry from Kill the Fall, and you are watching This is Metal.
Hello, and I'm your host, Jason J. Rock Houston. My regular co-host, Tom, he could not make it today. He's working on his new Held Hostage album. And so Ray is the guest today. So Ray, I've been checking out the band's new single, which is, of course, the song Screaming into Silence. Let's talk a little bit about the song, first of all. Great song, I must say.
Thank you.
So what can you tell us about the song? I mean, what did you write the song about? Is it any specific meaning behind the song?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a personal meaning for me, and I wrote this song a few months before we started pre-production for it. I started the writing process of that. The lyrics came first, and then I started working on. I just had the lyrics already
Yeah.
from the past, and then I started working on the music with it, and kind of got that hook in my head for the chorus, and then everything. I just grabbed the lyrics, and they kind of just fell into place. So it kind of just like one of those things that fell into place very easily. So,
and I got to be honest with you, Raymon, I'm not too familiar with your band. Thanks to your publicist, Jamie Roberts, who set the interview up. I want to thank her for doing that. But anyways, I was telling Jamie off screen before we start today's episode that what really impresses me about the band is I think this is something you guys accomplished, which is hard to do, is what's unique is you kind of got your own sound. You don't sound like every band out there. And again, this is coming from a guy that it's not really familiar with the band, but upon first listen, I'm like, these guys got a lot of potential because they're not trying to be like every band. I dare say that you're probably even still kind of developing the band sound, if you will, or finding it.
yeah, I mean, we definitely we don't seek out to be like anything else. The songwriting process, I write the music, write the lyrics, and then I bring that to the table with the other two, and Spiro and Dustin put their pieces in, and everybody brings their unique individual style to it, and we don't ever like try to seek out and say, hey, this song needs to sound like anything. I write from the heart. I write with my emotion, and those guys add real heart and feel to their parts, and it comes out, the way it is. And then, of course, we have a great team with Ryan Williams and Bob Marlette who do the producing on this, and they do an amazing job. So, and they really do a really great job of, especially, working with Bob and Ryan. They really pull the best out of us as musicians. It's not just, hey, let's go in and throw down what we have. We go down and we do pre-production, and they really talk to us about, what they feel, we could do better. And even when it comes to, the execution of things. So it's a great team to have around us. And that includes, as you already mentioned, Jamie with the publicist, who's, always just killing it, doing an amazing
Sure.
job.
She does a great job what she does.
Yeah.
But let me ask you now, Bob Marlette, you mentioned he's a name I'm aware of course. He's done some stuff with Black Sabbath in the past. How did you guys get a producer of that caliber? Did he approach you? Did you reach out to him?
So no, we did not reach out to him. And the funny thing is, this band was a band that was happening back in like 2008. So,
okay.
and then that was after my first run of about 14 years with the band previous to Kill the Fall. I did, tours and many albums with that band, and I went into Kill the Fall. And then after just a few years of doing Kill the Fall, I'm, at that point approaching 16 years of being on the road or whatever it was. And I was just done with music. So I hung it up, and I was done. In between now and when I hung up and kind of retired myself from music, I was coaching, doing MMA, doing coaching jiu-jitsu, coaching football, and competing and training myself. And in that process, I owned a gym, and one of the guys that trained with me, Ryan, I didn't know who he was, to be honest with you. He's just, to me, he was just one of my training partners and one of the guys I coach, and we were practicing because I just wanted to start playing music again. And as we were practicing, he walks by and comes back in for a minute. He was like, "Hey, what's the name of this band?" I said, "Kill the Fall." So he leaves, and that's all I heard. A day or two later, I get a text, "Hey, coach, I looked up the band, and I really I like the band." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." Literally at this point, no clue what's going on. I'm like, "Oh,
It's like,
thanks."
yeah,
And
thanks.
then eventually he got down to it. It was like, "Hey, I listened to the stuff, and me and Bob, who he's a production partner with, said, 'Hey, if you have anything new, we'd like to hear it.'" So I let him hear it, and they loved it and said, "This is something that we want to work with."
Wow.
And so then the rest is history from there. And then, we kind of talked about what we wanted out of the songs and what we got back into. And then it's just kind of been blowing up since then.
And like you
And
said,
then that's also how we got in contact with Jamie, because
oh,
Ryan and Jamie worked together. And so did Bob. They've all worked together before. So Ryan was like, "Hey, if you're going to do this, do it right, and put me in contact with Jamie." So,
oh, that is
yeah.
super cool. Now let me ask you. Obviously you've been in the music industry a number of years now, but getting a guy like Bob Marlette to produce your album, that's pretty big. And I don't know if you even knew who he was, but talk a little bit about coming back into the music industry. Um, had you been in like a professional studio like that before? Would you say this is probably the most kind of professional experience you've had making a record?
This is definitely the most professional experience. I mean, you can't get any more professional than Bob
Sure,
Marlette.
sure.
The guy's done, like you said, Black Sabbath and Tracy Chapman, and
Sure.
the list is just
And
the
even
list goes
right
on.
there from Black Sabbath to Tracy Chapman, I mean, what a difference in artists, but that shows you that this is a guy that he's got that capability of working with many different types.
Yeah, he's a genius. His ear and his what he does is phenomenal. So we're very blessed and very lucky to be working with him. And I'm thankful that he, found us to be a band that he believes in and wants to and put his name on it. So but this is definitely the most professional that I've and I can speak for the other two.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
most professional studio that we've worked with, and it's most professional producers that we've worked with.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, I've been doing it for a while, so but it
yeah.
was definitely cool. And he's such a down to earth, great guy. I went out to LA and sat with him in his backyard by his pool, and he was just like the coolest dude. You know what I mean? Like just talking and just like, you would have never thought he was like this amazing producer. He was just a normal guy that was cool to talk to and fun to hang out with.
And the reason I ask you that is because, Ray, after being in the music industry for several years and then you semi-retire and you take some time off and you come back, it must have felt like, man, I'm in the big leagues taking a giant leap forward. Wow, this is a great feeling.
Yeah, it was definitely a great feeling to get in working with such great producers and have that quality and that, like you said, that professionalism. The part that I was like, I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of like scary, and I was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
was I had no idea how to navigate anything.
Yeah.
Because,
See.
when I was doing it, it's, you go out and you put flyers up and you
Yeah. Yeah.
contact the promoter and you send them a batch of fly, all that, everything, all the whole
Sure. Sure.
routine. And I get into this and they're like, well, you got to do, and I'm like, what do you mean, Instagram? What do you mean Spotify streams and all this stuff? So that's where Jamie came into play. It was just like, she's like, listen, and the amazing part about her was it wasn't just, hey, let me do this. It was, hey, I think she felt that the feeling for me of I want to understand things. I like to work, I mean, I
Sure.
like to put
Sure.
the hard work in. So she's actually helping me understand all this stuff as well. So she's amazing.
I mean, and like you just kind of made the point. It's a totally new world, even technological wise. I mean, from the
Yeah.
last time you were in the music business, everything's done differently. I mean, you know, once upon a time, you couldn't even get your music out unless you had a record deal. These days, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily need a record deal.
Very true. Very true.
And you can be and so it's just a toy. I mean, I'm so old. Just to if you want to have something to laugh at is I'm so old. I remember when they still had record stores, places you go and buy your music. You didn't have to buy it online. Or remember when they had payphones? These things, you know.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
how old I
remember all
am.
that as well.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I always love to ask people because one of the hardest things I know is come up with a band name. Kill the Fall. Now, when Jamie sent me the press release for the latest single, "Screaming into Silence," that's the first thing that grabbed me was the name. I'm like, wow, what? It's just such a cool sounding name. How hard was that to come up with?
I'll be honest with you, it wasn't hard because it was actually a set of lyrics that I had written. And I don't exactly remember how it fell into the sentence of lyrics, but
Sure.
I just remember Kill the Fall stuck out.
You think
And
it would, yeah.
after the previous band, which was called Allergic to Horrors, which is another one that sticks with people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So after that one, I'm like, man, we got to come up with a band name. And I think the band name is important. I mean, I
Yeah.
think everything about when it comes to the name and the art and the imagery and everything, it all matters to a band. So I just saw that and it really stuck out to me, and it kind of, I don't know, it kind of like said something to me when I
Yeah, yeah,
saw it.
yeah.
So I said, we're going to use this.
I mean, I tell you honestly, when I read the name, I thought, I bet just the name of it sounds so cool. I got to check the band out, you know. And
Yeah.
I laughed when you said the previous band's name. I was curious. With a name like that, did you ever have any trouble in places not wanting to put the band's name up or?
Well, back then, no, it wasn't really an issue. We've had a couple people that would do an interview and try to like poke that issue and say, well, and it's like, hey, it's nothing misogynistic. It's
It's
nothing.
just
It
fun.
has
It's
nothing to
fun.
do with women. It was about corporate America,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that type of thing, and selling yourself for selling yourself out and your values out
Yeah.
for money and that type of thing. So that's what that
You know,
was.
Ray, I love that too because it shows what a kind of marketing genius you are. You know, because if nothing else, you've heard the old saying that, um, you know, I'll take any press is better than no press. You know,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
anything, it gets people talking about the band. You know.
100%. And
Yeah, yeah,
it worked too, especially
yeah,
with with the Allergic to Horrors name. A lot of people were talking about it. And, like you said, you saw the name Kill the Fall. You were interested in what that had to, what was it? And the same thing with Allergic to Horrors. It was people saw and they're like, well, I want to see what this, what does this
yeah.
mean? What is this
Yeah,
about?
and it boggles the mind. People have all kinds of crazy thoughts going on. And what I love is even Kill the Fall, it wasn't exactly, the sound wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. And again, the one song I heard, which is the current single, kind of has elements of metal or hard rock, little alternative, but it's all good. And again, like I said, it's a fresh sound. It's not like anything I heard out there. I can sit here and not and tell people, they're not trying to be the next Metallica or Megadeth. They're just trying to be who they are, and
Yeah.
that's refreshing. Um, another
Nowadays, that is,
yeah,
it's something to be said because I feel a lot of music and a lot of bands, when something catches, a band catches on, it maybe gets popular. There's always that second and third tier of bands that are just trying to be like that, and
yeah.
it's never as good. It's just you got to be yourself. You got
Or
to
you
write
even
from the heart.
or you even have people behind the scenes working with the band trying to mold what the band should be, instead of what the band is.
Right, right.
And another thing that I love about your story, Ray, is I was reading again and listening to the music of Kill the Fall. I wouldn't necessarily get this, but I was interested that you were into punk music. You were influenced heavily by that. And again,
Yeah.
that's interesting because it sounds nothing like punk. So talk a little bit about that punk element that influenced you.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first, big influences on me was the Misfits. So that's a huge,
Wow. Yeah.
huge influence. And I kind of feel like you talked about the marketing earlier, and it's like that's one thing that the Misfits and Glenn Danzig always did an amazing job of is
Yeah.
kind of cornering that comic book type of approach when they would just do limited edition shirts and limited edition prints to get people to come to the show to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
were very good at marketing too. Bands like Minor Threat and those bands were a big influence on me when I was younger. And then, obviously, I'm sure people, may be able to hear this too, but along with that was like bands like from that Seattle era with, Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains
Yeah.
and Soundgarden. Those bands are also an influence, Tool's an influence. So I just have a wide, I listen to, I believe it or not, I listen to a lot of jazz as well and blues. And like, I don't pigeonhole myself into listening to one style of music. And I don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into playing a certain way. We just whatever it is, that's what comes out,
Smart
and
move. And
the punk movement, from back in the day was definitely a big part of my life for sure.
it's a smart move because Misfits a great band to be influenced by. I love the theatrics of that band, the
Yeah.
sound. It's almost like they used to have back in the '70s what was called sound and vision bands that would have a look and a sound.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's why a band like Misfits, even Kiss or Alice Cooper, people flock to because it's got a little more than just a guy in his jean and t-shirts.
Yeah.
The theatrical aspect of it. I love that.
Exactly.
I think what stands out is your songwriting, Raymond. I mean, and again, listening to the band, I'm listening to, even the name of the band, Kill the Fall. People might think they're definitely a metal band, and even when I listen to the current single, obviously Screaming into Silence, it's got metal elements, but it's not like full blown on metal. It's got a little, like you said, I hear elements of various different types of music. So it's almost like all your influences are coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just let, I just let what's inside of me come out, and just whatever it is I'm not, and, we have recent releases that we did with Bob and Ryan that are acoustic. So, it's just whatever I'm feeling is that's what's going to be put out there. And I don't want to hold myself back or, say, well, we can't do this because it's like, hey, if we want to do it, we're going to do it.
That's my own personal taste. Like I wasn't a big fan of the grunge stuff, but actually, like Alice in Chains, probably I really lean a little more towards because they do have a bit of a metal element. But Jerry Cantrell, very much like you're saying, great songwriter. I mean, they had great acoustic stuff. I love stuff off of Dirt and the first album, but they're one of those bands too that people think them as a metal band, a grunge band that they can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, very, very versatile. I mean, if you think about their first release that came out, Facelift, very heavy, like you said, very metal influenced. And then right after that comes, I believe it was Sap or Jar of Flies, which is all acoustic, So and then they come back with Dirt, which is like one of the darkest, heaviest records that I think is out there. I mean, that the material that they talked about and the songwriting on that record was phenomenal. I mean, from beginning to end.
And yet, to me, Alice in Chains also has always kind of had a bit of a Sabbathy vibe to it. So there's that. But
for sure,
great songwriting. Now, I understand you've been releasing like singles, like a lot of bands have been doing. Any plans to put out like a full release, an EP, or a full length album?
Yeah. So we have this newest single will probably be one of the last full band singles that'll be out because after this we're going to compile the next 4 or 5 songs that we have, and we're going to put an EP out. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and Screaming in the Silence will be part of that EP, but we're going to wait and not just keep out dropping singles. I want to give people a little bit more of a little more meat on the bone to listen to rather than just a single. I know that's what everybody does now is this, release single after single, but we've done that a few times now. We're on our 3rd full band single with Bob and Ryan. And I think the next one, the fans deserve to have a package deal of an EP at least.
Yeah, I mean, I did, like I said, maybe it's because of my age. I'm an old school guy. I still love the physical CD, to hold and see who played on it. So do you think you will release physical CDs and that? If people want that?
Well, I don't know about the CD, but I do know for sure the EP will be on a record. On vinyl. It'll hit vinyl. So like they will have the physical vinyl to be able to put in their hand and put on a record player. I still have a record player. So
again, that's cool. That's cool too because even if it's a limited run and it makes it like a special kind of collector's thing. And if somebody's that big of a fan, I think they'll go out and buy it. Just like I said, to have something to look at. And I miss those days of having like a beautiful album cover to look at.
I agree.
Yeah,
And the good thing for us is we have an art designer that I feel hits it out of the park every time.
yeah.
His artwork is amazing. So he's already working on, like, the title of the EP is called The Silence of Water.
Wow.
So he's already putting together what that record cover is and inside is going to look like as we're doing the music. And he's already kind of gotten some sneak previews on some of the demos that we have of what the songs are gonna
Yeah,
sound like,
yeah.
so he can already start working on that process.
Oh, that's cool. And so, again, and I think even there's things that, I see album vinyl releases where, might cost 28, $30. But to me, to get a nice package, they package it nice. I don't mind spending the money. Again,
Yeah,
I mean, if it's reasonably priced, again, nobody's gonna maybe want to pay $300 for vinyl unless you get a lot of extra goodies with it. But
yeah,
that's that. And now, have you guys had a chance to play out much? Have you played live out?
yeah. So we've only been back at this for a few months, maybe like 6 to 8 months, something like that. But in that time frame, we played about 5 shows.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and we're building. I mean, every show we played, we're around 200 plus people at the show. So
That's
it's
pretty impressive.
growing. It's
Yeah.
growing. We got a chance recently to play with the Super Suckers, so that was fun.
Uh-huh.
Over in Youngstown, Ohio, and we did a couple punk festivals this summer. We
Wow.
did some local shows, some regional shows, and then we have some stuff coming up this summer as well. And in May we have a festival, and we're trying to get ourselves on as many of the summer festivals as we can this upcoming 2025 summer.
Oh, wow. And the thing with that is, I got to ask, being having retired and been away from the music scene for a while, what was that first show like? I mean, the first time in years you get up on stage with your band, and that must have been like a real kind of comeback feeling.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It felt amazing. It was like I didn't realize how much I missed it until that first chord hit, and we were looking out into the crowd. Like I said, that first show back, we had 200 plus people there, and it was just amazing to see. And it was like, man, this is cool. I like it. I love it.
And when you did retire for a few years, going back to when you played that final show, I was curious, was it just a matter of you had other priorities like wanting to spend more time with your family and your kids, or did it get to a point back then where people weren't coming to the shows, business wasn't as good as it once was? I was just kind of curious about that.
No, the people were still coming to the shows. We were still actively touring, pulling in good numbers on tour. Everything was going well. I honestly was just burnt out.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
Too many years on the road. I was just done with it. Complete burnout of music. Didn't want to be around it anymore. Didn't want to play it anymore. Didn't want to do shows. So I just said, I'm done. And
Okay.
I literally, sold all my gear and I said, I'm out, I'm done,
Wow.
and went into my, other passion, which is, the martial arts and football and coaching and being an athlete and that type of thing. So
Oh, I
I
was going to
just,
ask about that. So the martial arts, were you always kind of into that, or did you get into that
yes.
later in life? Okay.
No, I was always into it. I've always loved football. I played football in high school. I loved being around martial arts, like, watching the UFC when it, first came out. And from that point, I kept watching it all the way through. And I've always wanted to be a part of it, always wanted to, dabble in it and train in it.
Uh,
I've always kept myself fit, but
sure.
when I was a young kid, very young, my grandfather taught me how to box.
Wow.
So that was fun. And I always had an interest in getting in that somehow. But music always took the front seat. And I was always, busy on tour and doing that type of thing. So it was nice when I was done with music. It was nice to get and say, hey, I want to learn how to, do jujitsu. I want to
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
how to, do those things. And that's what I did.
And reason I ask is I found like over the years it's amazing that like metal fans are also martial art fans, and
Yeah.
how the two kind of come together.
Yeah, and I found that right away that, like, in the martial arts community and the jiu-jitsu community, it is a lot of old hardcore metal punk guys
Yeah.
that are gear, drift into that world. I think it's kind of the same atmosphere. I mean, it's the same. It's a tight knit community,
Yeah.
same as the music scene was. You're on the mats. You're training and sweating, same as you when you're in the pit and at a live show. So a lot of similarities to the two.
Well, Raymond, Terry, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and thanks again, Jamie, for setting this up. And I just want to say, Ray, the show we did today will be premiering next Tuesday. I'll be sure to send you guys a link. Feel free to
Excellent.
let everybody know and share it. And
Thank you.
anytime we'll continue to follow. Anytime you have something to promote, you're always welcome back here.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime, my friend. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you.